My girlfriend and I recently took a 1-week trip to Costa Rica, and in this video, I'll break down to you the excursions we went on, how much we paid for things, how we got around, how the people were, how the weather was, literally everything you need to know so that if you're going to Costa Rica yourself, you know exactly what to expect after watching this video. All right, so to begin the trip, we were actually in Miami. So we're based in Toronto, and we were visiting my girlfriend's family in Miami. And while we were in Miami, we were like, hey, we're in Miami, so like there's a lot of countries close to us in Central America. Why don't we just look up some tickets and see where we can go to from here? Because our thinking was, if we book a trip from Miami to a country in Central America, it'll probably be less expensive than booking a trip from Toronto all the way to Central America. And on top of that, we're like, let's find somewhere cheap, but also safe. So after doing quick Googling, we found that Costa Rica was generally one of the safer countries in Central America. And for me, someone who's extremely paranoid, safety comes first. And on top of that, a ticket to Costa Rica was pretty cheap. I forget exactly how much we paid, but it was about $400 cheaper than if we were to buy a ticket from Toronto to Costa Rica. So Miami to Costa Rica, way cheaper than Toronto to Costa Rica. And we're like, let's just freaking do it, okay? And so we bought the damn tickets. So to give you an overview of our trip, we were there from Friday to Tuesday, and during the weekdays I would work, but on the weekends we went on a lot of excursions. And so here's exactly what happened. So arriving there, we actually decided to go with some cheap tickets where you couldn't do any check-in luggage or anything, so just literally whatever you can carry in your backpack. And there were cheap tickets because also to the fact that you arrive in Costa Rica at like 1 in the morning. So we flew in from Miami and we arrived in Costa Rica at 1 in the morning, which is about like 3 in the morning Central Eastern Standard Time. But whatever, 1 in the morning, we arrive, and you know, cheap tickets, 1 a.m. arrival, makes sense, right? And so we arrived in the airport, and let me tell you a little bit about the airport. So we arrived in, I'm gonna butcher this, but Juan Santa Maria International Airport. Okay, that's the airport we arrived in at 1 in the morning. It was interesting, like as soon as we arrived from the airport and we, got out of the airport, we were bombarded with a lot of taxi drivers being like, yeah, taxi, 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 taxi. And I forget that I was in Central America, so like I thought it was just like go straight out and then catch an Uber and you're good. But we got bombarded with a lot of cab drivers offering us a ride to wherever we're going. And naturally we were like, no, because we plan to take an Uber to our Airbnb. Now, one thing to note is Uber isn't technically legal in Costa Rica, but people use it anyway. It's kind of one of those hush-hush things that everyone kind of does, and they know it's illegal, but they do it anyway. And so when we're in the airport, right, we knew it was illegal, so we were calling in Uber, right, like, kind of like hiding our phones and like, nothing, doing nothing here, nothing suspicious, nothing at all. And we were calling in Uber, but then the taxi drivers would come and be like, hey, come get a ride with us and we'll get you there. And we're like, no, it's okay. And one guy was like just pushing at me and he was speaking Spanish, blah, 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 and I can speak Spanish. Luckily, my girlfriend Ella speaks Spanish, but he kept pushing, come. And I'm like, no, it's okay. And I had to really just brush him off. We went around the corner. We're like calling our Ubers. We're like, okay, no one's watching, right? Because we're in a different country. We don't know anyone. And here we are doing something illegal, technically. I remember at one point, the cab driver noticed my phone and he was like, Uber's not legal here. And he was kind of like intimidating us, but I was like, yeah, it's okay, we're safe, we're fine. And he finally left us alone. And then we called the Uber and we were confused about where the Uber was supposed to arrive because technically they can't pull up in the main place. And what we found out was that once you get to the airport, exit the airport, go to the second floor of the parking, and all the Ubers are actually over there. And so we're like, great. We got into the freaking Uber. So generally the Uber picked us up, very nice guy, couldn't speak English though, so a lot of it was Spanish. And so we're in the Uber, we're going to our Airbnb, and keep in mind, it's about like 2 in the morning at this point, right? Very late at night. And while we're going there, I realized I put the wrong address in. And so the Uber was about to drop us off in the middle of nowhere, the sketchiest looking place. You look around and you're like, someone's gonna grab me from there, someone's gonna attack me from here. And I was like, shoot, a new country we've never been to, and we're in the middle of nowhere, and the Uber is about to drop us off at the wrong address. And so once we came to the location where he was supposed to drop us off, I was like, hey, this is not the right address, and I was like showing him the actual building number and everything on my phone, and it became a whole situation because, again, I couldn't speak Spanish. And so finally he understood what I was trying to say through my gestures, and he was like, okay, no problem. He pulls out his phone, finds Google Maps, and drives us down the street to the actual Airbnb where we're supposed to be. So people were in general, in the trip, people were very nice. They were saying hello, good morning. In the Airbnb where people live, they were saying good morning and all this. They're very helpful. So thank God for that. So we arrived at the Airbnb, and then we ran into another problem. And that was that our Airbnb host did not send the person at the front gate our ID and everything to let us actually go through the gate and into our Airbnb. And so, again, 2 in the morning at this point, we're talking with the security guy, trying to figure out how to get to the Airbnb. I'm messaging the Airbnb host, trying to figure everything out. And keep in mind, I don't speak Spanish, so it was just a lot of back and forth, trying to figure out what we're trying to say in a country I've never been to. And so I feel like, God, it's 2 a.m. in a country I've never been in, and I like don't even speak the language, and I have to communicate with this person to get to the Airbnb. It was like a whole conundrum. Luckily, though, Ella, my girlfriend, speaks Spanish, so she was able to do a lot of communication. Now, one thing I will tell you here is that throughout the entire trip, Spanish is like number one. It really, really, really helps if you can speak Spanish. In Puerto Rico, when I went, generally it was a 50-50 chance that someone spoke English. So you can generally get away with just only speaking English in Puerto Rico. However, I've noticed in Costa Rica, it's like 85% Spanish, and maybe like 15% will actually speak to you in English if they even know the language. And so that was like the ratio I found. So it really helps if you know Spanish. Anyways, at this point, we finally get into the Airbnb, and it was a nice Airbnb. We booked it, again, through Airbnb. So our Airbnb was pretty cool. Let me tell you some stuff that it had. There was a co-working space at the top floor of the buildings. So again, I was co-working from Costa Rica, and sometimes instead of being in the apartment working away on my laptop, I'd go on the rooftop and we'd actually work from the rooftop. It had an amazing view of the mountains, of the city. It just looked like a freaking painting. And it was up in the open air, so it felt very like flowy and lots of air and everything, and you genuinely felt like you're in a different country. So that co-working space was bomb, was the best. They also had a gym, so one thing I wanted to do while I was in Costa Rica is to maintain my routines to the best of my ability. I know I'm not gonna be perfect, but I wanted to maintain it as much as I could. So it was important that when we booked an Airbnb, it had a gym. And so it's cool because the Airbnb had a gym, but what was nice is that there was a nice lounge next to the gym. So at one point, I remember at night, I would go to the gym to work out. The vibes of the gym were basically like in North America, whenever you go to the gym, it's the same vibe, but just Spanish people. And so I would work out, and then I would sit at the lounge, and then it was like a little balcony place, and you just sit back on the couch in the lounge, you look out, and you just see like the whole city, you see the mountains, and it was just like a vibe, like working out at night in Costa Rica, sitting by the lounge afterwards, and then it's like starts drizzling, but it's not coming to me because there's like a roof on top of me, and just sitting there calmly at the night with like rain coming down, man, that was like such a vibe. I gotta tell you, that was a vibe. So one thing I will tell you is that we stayed in San Jose, the main city. Now, all the reviews, all our friends and everything were telling us don't stay in the main city. Instead, come and then go straight to the beach and find a place next to the beach, because the main city is more of like a transportation hub. It's not really that special. There's nothing crazy about it. So when you come, make sure you go to the beach. And to their credit, they're right. We went around San Jose for a bit and just being around the Airbnb, it was like cool. But the best place to stay if I were to go again would be near the beach because I love the water and beach. The problem is that the beaches are 2 hours away. So we personally got an Airbnb in the city because we know we're gonna arrive at 1 in the morning, and figuring out how to commute from there to a 2 hour away Airbnb at a beach at 1 in the morning in a country we've never been to felt a little like scary. So we just ended up getting an Airbnb 15 minutes away from the airport in the city. But if I were to do it again, I would arrive probably around like 5 or 6, maybe even 7 or so, and get an Airbnb next to the beach because the beaches, and I'll tell you all the stuff in a bit, but damn, the beaches were nice. Excuse me. So this brings me to Friday, and Friday I was pretty much spending the whole time working away from the Airbnb because we knew we had 2 big excursions coming up for the weekend. And overall, working from Airbnb, it was fine. One thing I will tell you though is that at some point I was like, oh, I just want to go out instead of working, because I look out the balcony and I see like these mountains and new country, and it just seems so lively and exciting. And here I am sitting at home at an Airbnb working away. So I really had to mentally commit that, hey, no. It is Friday today. I will go on excursions this weekend, but today's a work day. And so Leaf, focus on work. All right, so this brings me to Saturday, and this is excursion number one of many adventures to come. So for excursion number one thing you should probably know about me, I personally don't like planning. I don't like planning. I don't like figuring out how to commute there and how to get the entrance fee for this and where should we go and then how to rent a car. All these things about like trying to explore a new country. I do not like planning anything. I'd rather have someone just plan everything for me, and I mindlessly just step out of the Airbnb, they pick me up on the bus, they take me everywhere, feed me, show me all the cool things, and then drop me back at the Airbnb, and like everything's taken care of me. Like that convenience is so important. So to explore Costa Rica, we were thinking, hey, why don't we get a car and drive around? But then we're like, that's gonna be expensive, the gas and everything, and then we don't even know how to drive around the city and everything. Like it was just too much. So what we did was we booked 2 excursions for the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. For Saturday, we booked an Arenal volcano experience. The excursion was booked through TripAdvisor, and it included exploring the volcano. Like you don't get too close to it, but like you see it from a decent distance. Ziplining through the rainforest, the best thing ever. Drinking some local coffee, seeing waterfalls. I drank water from a river because the river was so clean, and then visiting the hot springs. Some of the highlights I'll tell you from Saturday's excursion that I think you should definitely check out if you're ever in Costa Rica are, first is ziplining through the rainforest. Like you're high up, you have a zip line and you're going through the forest and everything. It's such a high. Do note that sometimes the straps they attach you to is a little uncomfortable, especially for a guy. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So definitely go ziplining. Second is hot springs. Hot springs are a vibe. Like here's some videos from the thing. You sit back, it's nice and hot, and it was beautiful, and you look across and you see the volcanoes, and it was just a really good time to just sit back, relax in like nice hot, naturally warm water and just be chill and present, you know? And for me, the whole point of going to Costa Rica was to see rainforests and volcanoes and the nature and wildlife and all that stuff, right? So big part of Saturday's excursion was to see volcanoes. And if you've never seen a volcano, it's really cool to see a volcano because I've seen mountains in the distance, but it's another thing to see like a big mountain looking thing with like smoke and steam coming out of the top. And that was just like, whoa, that's cool. But it's also kind of scary because you look at that and you're like, oh, you're saying that can explode any second now. Oh. All right, so this brings me to Sunday, our second excursion of the weekend. And this was Manuel Antonio National Park, day trip from San Jose. So here's the thing. We were going to originally go to Jaco Beach, right? But then when I Google image Jaco Beach, it kind of reminded me of South Beach in Miami. And I've been to South Beach and I'm like, oh, I don't really want to go to another version of South Beach. Instead, I want to go to a place that has like rainforest and then the beaches and animals, and I can do so many things for the entire day. And so I went to ChatGPT and I'm like, I'm going to Costa Rica. I want to see these things, where should I go? And so ChatGPT was like, go to Manuel Antonio National Park. Great. And so we looked it up, we're like, oh wow, it's 3 hours away, whereas Jocko Beach was 2 hours away, but it looks a lot more fun than Jocko Beach. How are we gonna get there? We looked at Ubers, we looked at private rental cars, we looked at busing, and then we were like, oh my God, this is expensive and this will take forever. And then eventually, again, on TripAdvisor, I found that, oh wait, there's an excursion that picks you up from your Airbnb in San Jose, which is where we were, and it'll get us all the way to Manuel Antonio National Park. And me loving convenience and all that, rather than having to figure out how to drive, entrance fee, all this stuff, I was like, perfect. Dropped some money on that. They picked us up and they took us to the national park. Here's the interesting thing. On the way to Manuel Antonio National Park, we actually saw Jocko Beach off in the distance. We stopped, we looked over to Jocko Beach, and I looked at it and I was like, I'm glad I'm going to this national park instead, because Jocko Beach just kind of looked like a strip with beaches and places you can eat, and that's kind of it. You chill there for the rest of the day. So I was like, whew, thank God, we're going to Manuel Antonio National Park. We're driving to Manuel Antonio National Park. It took about 3 hours, but it's nice because, again, the excursion package includes breakfast and some food. So then, you know, you're making stops at all these places and they're feeding you and everything. And there's a nice tour guide telling you, hey, this is that, this is that, this is that, this is that. So you're learning. So the whole experience seemed really fun. And the excursion guy was really, really nice. But we arrive at Manuel Antonio National Park, and here are some things to keep in mind if you're ever going to Manuel Antonio National Park. First is that we went at a time before the rush, but even before the rush, it was like sort of chaotic. It was beautiful, the entrance going in there, but then you see like all these people trying to sell you things and like, hey, you want this? Hey, you want a tour guide? Hey, you want this? Blah, 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 right? And you see a bunch of tourists driving around trying to figure out where to park. And it was just, it felt very hectic. The entrance to get into the actual national park, there's a huge gate and all that. But I got there and there's like huge lines, people like checking bags and everything. There's like random tour guides waiting for you and trying to upsell you on like a tour package while you're going to the national park. And I remember at one point, we were pulling into the parking lot, but then in front of us, there was a couple in a car. They were clearly from North America. They did not speak the language, and they were like lost. They were like driving slowly, blinker on the left, but they didn't turn left, they went straight, and they just obviously seemed very lost. So they're slowly driving around, and we were following them. And you know, there's people yelling at them, hey, come park here, hey, and they're trying to sell them things, and clearly I looked into their car. They didn't speak the language. They seemed lost in a country they've never been in. They're driving around in this place they've never been to. And, you know, people are trying to sell them things and they're speaking Spanish and they don't really speak Spanish. And I just looked at them and I'm like, oh my God, like that is like my nightmare. Like being like confused, lost, not sure what to do in a country you've never been to. Well, people are telling you to buy, come here. And you have no idea who to trust. That is what I avoid at all costs. And so seeing them and how overwhelmed they were, and they were like, oh my God, what's happening? Really made me glad that I actually booked an excursion instead, because our tour guide, you know, we parked at a hotel, then our tour guide took us through the entrance, and we got through all the people who are trying to upsell us on tours and packages and all these different things, right? And he just handheld us through the whole thing, and that convenience, that peace of mind, is so worth it. So once we arrived at Antonio National Park and got through the entrance, keep in mind if you're ever going there, they will check your bag for food and water. So our tour guide was like, hey, listen, water is like really expensive in the actual park. If you're trying to sneak it through, wrap it around like shorts or some clothes you have, put it deep in under your bag, and hope to God that you can get through without getting your water thrown out. I was like, okay, let's try it. And I did that. And I go up to the guy in the front gate. It's like a security guard. He's like, all right, open your bag. And I'm like, I'll open it. And I'm like, please don't touch over there in the back, in the backpack on the bottom left, because there's like the water bottle right there, clearly under these shorts. He's going through my bag and everything. And I'm like, oh God, please don't touch the water. Don't touch the water. And he didn't touch the water, which I was surprised because he like shuffled his hands all around the bag. But yeah, he didn't touch that one little area which had my freaking water. And so I was like, oh, I acted calm, professional. I just walk right through like as nothing happened. It was the best. So we get into Manuel Antonio National Park, and what's cool is the first stretch is like you hiking through a boardwalk through the rainforest. And this was amazing because first of all, I love the rainforest. You walk around, there's trees everywhere. There's like animals. I saw deers, we saw sloths, we saw monkeys, we saw spiders, we saw crabs. It's crazy to see how many different animals and wildlife are in Costa Rica. Like you see the spider next to the crab, next to the deer, next to the monkey, next to a tree that kind of looks alive. Like it was just a lot. And what's cool is because I was part of the excursion, the guy was giving us a tour of the whole place. Like, hey, look, that tree is blah, blah, blah. Hey, these crabs are over here. This spider's over here. This tree has these little pointy things because monkeys grab it, but then it'll poison them. Like all these cool things. I loved walking through the boardwalk, through the forest, and just being in like a true rainforest. It felt so good. So we walked for a bit. It took about like 30 minutes or so. And then mainly because we did a lot of stops, but we finally got to the beach. The beach was really beautiful as well. What's cool about this national park is that there's multiple beaches. So we wanted to stay at the beach that like it wasn't packed with tourists. So we went around the other side of the island and found a private beach, and we're like, yes, let's go hang out over there. That was really cool. On top of that, we also went on more walks through the rainforest. What's cool about this second round of walking around through rainforest was that we got to see some monkeys up close. There's one point where we're like walking the rainforest and it's hot, humid, and I personally like the warmth in the rainforest. And we're going through it, and we turn the corner and we're like, oh my gosh. And we see like a bunch of monkeys just sitting there. And I'll be honest with you, I was pretty scared. I was terrified. I was like, oh my God, what if they attack me? What if they grab me and like poke my eyes out and grab me and run away and like, right? But my girlfriend was like, oh yeah, let them attack. I want to see that. Yeah. And I'm like, okay. But it's really weird when you see the monkeys up close. I'm telling you, like, it is weird because their face they look like humans. They look like they're just like looking around trying to figure out what to do. And they have these facial expressions. And again, their faces look so human. Like, it really freaked me out how human-like they look. No wonder we evolved from these things. Like, they literally look like an actual person hunched over and just looking around. Like, anyways, the monkeys were really cool. And for the rest of the time at the national park, we spent it at the beach, hanging around. I went for a nice run by the beach because I love running whenever I see a beach. And yeah, it was a good time. It was definitely worth it. And then which brings me to Monday. Monday is when I actually started working again. But here's the downside. I ended up catching like a weird stomach bug. So actually no, it started with like a cough, and then it turned into like sniffles, and then it turned into chills, and then it turned into puking. And this, from Monday to Tuesday, this is essentially what I was going through while trying to balance work, while not beating myself up for being in Costa Rica and not going about exploring. So one thing to keep in mind if you're traveling to Costa Rica or just traveling in general, and this is something I'll keep in mind moving forward myself, is that keep like medicine on you so you don't catch like a stomach bug or get sick or get fever and your trip is wasted. Like, I really wish I planned for that proactively rather than just have it happen to me and I'm like, oh, I'm sick, right? But one thing I did, and this is me being a bad person, or this is me being impulsive or dumb, whatever you call it. So I had like some bad fever, right? Like fever and chills. But I also wanted to explore San Jose, the city, because we did all these excursions. We saw the beach and the rainforest and everything, but I wanted to see like the people, the lifestyle, the main city where everyone lived. Like, I wanted to see the culture. And so I'm like, even though I have the fevers and I'm coughing and I'm like, oh, and everything feels so cold, I'm like, no, we're gonna go to the San Jose, we're gonna walk around for a bit and we'll come back, because eventually I'll be fine, I'll recover, and I'll have memories to share. And so we got an Uber while I was sick, which is probably not the best thing to do, and we were walking around San Jose. But here's some interesting thing. During our excursions, during the entire time there, it'll be like sunny in the morning, really sunny, and all of a sudden it'll just pour. And I mean just not just pour, like crazy thunderstorms that if it poured like that here in Toronto, people would be like, oh, a hurricane is coming or something, like something bad is happening, right? what is extreme to us in terms of raining, pouring, thunderstorm is just normal to them. And so it's funny, when we were going around San Jose, there's a lot of people selling umbrellas. You see a lot of black umbrellas, people walking around in the dark, in the rain with umbrella and umbrella. You hear people yelling, hey, umbrella for sale, umbrella for sale. Note is that if you're going to Costa Rica, make sure you bring with you a light rain jacket or an umbrella no matter wherever you're going, because it'll be sunny for 1 second and then boom, it'll just pour like hell the next second. Then it'll be sunny again. And the weather is it's just all over the place. What's interesting is that when I went to Mexico, it was a lot hotter, like scorching hot. But in Costa Rica, it wasn't as hot. In fact, it was actually cooler than Miami at some point. And I was like, oh, interesting. But what's double interesting is that, we went in summertime, but our summer is apparently their winter. So I guess we went in the winter time, so it wasn't like burning hot, I guess. But I found the weather like very like moderate, like totally cool compared to like Mexico where it was just blazing hot. Now, here's some things to consider if you're trying to figure out how to get around Costa Rica. Just being on the roads through the excursion buses and everything, I realized, oh, if I actually rented a car, I would be able to survive these roads. If I can drive in Toronto and New York and Miami and everything, I can definitely drive here in Costa Rica. It's the same rules and everything. Maybe the roads have like a worse condition and maybe you'll see some broken down buildings here on the side. But generally, if you can drive in North America, you can definitely drive in Costa Rica. It's the same stuff. And on top of that, Ubering around is fine. It's normal. It's whatever. Even the Uber drivers, they love small talk, so they kept talking to Ella, not me, because I didn't speak Spanish, but they love talking to her, and she doesn't like small talk. So every time Uber picked us up and dropped us off, she'd always be like, oh, small talk again. Now, a couple more things I want to share with you is prices. So we knew going in Costa Rica, it was generally the same price as stuff in Toronto or like New York or Miami, right? And that is very true. For example, we went out to eat to like a restaurant next to our building. And, the food plate we got was like 14 bucks, 15 bucks, 16 bucks, 20 bucks here, right? And that's in like USD converted. So price-wise, expect the same as like North American prices. So it is a very expensive country to be in. Now, in terms of food, personally, I thought the food was fine. There was nothing that really blew me away when it came to the food. We ate a lot of gallo pinto. I'll share some pictures of it here. But generally, I don't think I would go, like, I don't remember Costa Rica for the food, right? Food was fine. Nothing really blew me away and nothing was really that bad. So food-wise, whatever. Another thing I will add is safety. So, again, safety was very important to me when traveling around because I'm just like that. During the trip, I will tell you, since we were with the tour guide the whole time, I did feel pretty safe. Even like walking around the towns and everything, I felt generally pretty safe. One thing to note though is when we were going to San Jose, I did feel slightly on edge because I can tell people thought we were tourists and they were trying to sell us things, and even some like homeless looking people, they come up to me and they're like, welcome to Costa Rica, in English, which is interesting. Welcome to Costa Rica. Can you please do this for me? Can you please, right? So the beggars, they kind of knew us and they're coming at us, and I was like a little on edge there. But generally, our tour guides were saying like this is one of the safest places because we don't have an army, and because we don't have an army, we put all that money towards education resources for the people so that people are actually good and people generally watch out for each other, right? That's what the tour guide said. Then we went on Uber, and the Uber driver was like, San Jose is getting a little dangerous now. The cartel from Colombia are coming to take over. I wouldn't walk around at night in a place like this. And so I'm getting like these weird mixed reviews. For me personally, again, I spent most of the time in the Airbnb or out with a group of tourists doing excursions. So I don't know if I have the most accurate view of safety. We did walk around San Jose for a bit, and in those moments, I did feel a little on edge because it was nighttime too. For me personally, doing the 2 excursions, seeing San Jose, I felt like I got the most out of Costa Rica. I don't think I'd ever really go back again unless, like, I don't know, I'm digital nomading and I want to stay somewhere for 30 days and I don't really care to explore the country. Costa Rica is like decent for that. But other than that, just to like go back to vacation again and see the places again, I think I made the most out of this one trip. I don't think I'd really go back again. So overall, what is the takeaway? If you love rainforests, wildlife, volcanoes, nature, beaches, water, if you're into that kind of stuff, you will love Costa Rica. Or if you're into surfing and stuff, you will love Costa Rica. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you are considering going to Costa Rica, hopefully this video gave you something to think about, and enjoy your trip. And with that, my friend, hopefully I'll see you in another video. Peace, peace, peace.